Welcome to the Better Sex Podcast. My name is Deborah Cat, and I am your shameless host. This is the Better Sex Podcast, where we have unfiltered conversations about sex and relationships and the many different ways there are to do sex and relationships. This is a frank and unfiltered conversation and may not be appropriate for all ears. So please listen with care. I truly believe that a sexy world creates a safer and a safer world. And so if you want to do your part in creating a safe and sexy world, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Today, we are going to dive into the world of my guest, Ryan Brown. Ryan spent most of the past 10 years helping people to improve life function and relationships. They are a certified erotic blueprint breakthrough coach and an accelerated evolution coach. They work with people one-on-one to help increase joy, connection, and self-expression. Ryan, you are just such a walking, living, breathing self-expression example. So
Oh my goodness.
I'm really delighted to have you here. I know you sort of read the official bio, but tell me a little bit, like, how did you get here? What's your story?
How did I get here? It's such a long story. There's like what I want to say is, well, I got here inevitably, but of course that's true of all of our stories, is how we get here inevitably. But I think like a common thread for me in how I got here was that for whatever reason, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the erotic and sexuality has just been magnetic for me ever since I was old enough to get a little boner. I've never been able to turn away from it, counter to the way I was raised, right? Super conservative, super Christian, very, very limited view of what sex was, almost all of it definitely bad, right? All of these things that many of us can identify with. Mm-hmm. There's only heterosexuality. Homosexuality is evil. Like, in spite of all that stuff, I remained inexorably drawn to my own eroticism and my own sexuality. And the struggle was long, simply because in the way that I couldn't escape it and can never turn away from it, I also can never fully embrace it, because I carried with me this idea that somehow I was deficient, somehow I was bad for being so interested in sex. And the more energy or time or attention that I gave to it, the more it meant I wasn't doing something important in the world. Something that, like, good quality people are out there, like, being scientists and solving big world problems and ending world hunger and, like, arguing for peace. And, what kind of a person is just super interested and focused on sex? And I struggled with that for a long, 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 long time, until, frankly, I found Jaya, who's the creator of the Erotic Blueprints. And I was introduced to that community by my partner. And I spent a weekend with them, in an event that they run. And by the time I was done with it, it was like cogs had, like, locked into place inside of me that were just waiting for the right, impetus. Mm-hmm. And I realized that it was actually totally okay for me to embrace fully, like, my sexual self and have sex be wonderful and okay and magical. And that I could use that to further my purpose in the world. And I knew what that was, right? It's like, I want to promote joy and healing and liberation for people. And it just clicked that it's like, oh my God, I don't have to continue to worry about, like, my sexuality being something that puts me in a negative light or like sort of a disadvantage. It's like, actually, it's just fucking great. Of all the ways to self-actualize and become a joyful expression of your full self in the world, like, there's many ways to approach it. But sex is one of the primary ways. Like, plug directly into life force energy and see what happens. So all that stuff clicked into place for me. And, along the way, also, I began this really fascinating and joyful gender journey. And that's how I got here. So now I'm sitting in front of you because of all that.
I love that. And I love feeling your passion around realizing that, yes, sex can be a big part of our mission. It can be a part of who we are. In fact, when we remove, in the Tantra world, sexuality is linked to creativity, which makes sense. We use sexuality
Totally.
and we create humans from it. And so it makes sense that we would create so much more. And so I love what you're saying about like bringing that in. And I've got a couple of questions for you.
I bet.
Well, first, I want to start by, you use the word eroticism and you use sexuality. And for some people, they kind of conflate those two. And I'm wondering if you can kind of like, what do you mean when you talk about the erotic and eroticism?
Ooh, excellent. For me, the erotic is plugging into life force energy. That's like, to me, what eroticism is connecting with life force energy. So it's a very big umbrella, right? It's like there's a lot of things that are erotic. My gosh, go out and look at nature. Like, go look at the way flowers are constructed. Go look at the ways animals are interacting. Like, go look at the way things get together, right? There's eroticism everywhere. And it's creative, right? Like you suggest, like this is how we create all kinds of things. Sexuality is like a sort of a subset under there. It's like, of all the ways that eroticism can be expressed, sexuality is just one chunk of it, where we like put our bodies together in certain ways or whatnot and get into like that form of engagement. But to me, eroticism is a much bigger umbrella and can be applied like across life. It's not just with partners in the bedroom. It's like all of life can be erotic, and tapping that energy and using it for all kinds of different things.
Absolutely. I love hearing that. And it's funny as you're talking about that, I'm like, yeah, when we start looking at our lives as like as an erotic experiment, of like, how do we bring a little bit more eroticism to the thing that we're doing? It can
Yeah.
it changes it changes the experience. I know I have been my partner and I have been doing Pilates together, and there are the days that I'm just not into it are the days that I'm like, okay, what am I feeling in my body? Where can I find that, that extra little oomph? And, it changes the whole experience. And I imagine, I'm imagining that you have similar types of things that you do with eroticism.
Yeah, totally. What came to mind as you were speaking was just the concept of playfulness for me is also really huge. And so as you were talking, I was thinking like, oh yeah, well, how do I make things like doing the dishes pleasurable? It's like, okay, well, the dishes are just a chore that you have to do, and you don't have to make a thing of it. You can just do it, or you can go put on something slinky and fun and turn the dishes into a little bit of an erotic experience, getting into the sensation of the temperature of the water and the feeling of the soap. Like, bringing the eroticism into the mundane is a life-giving practice. So yeah, that's another example of like the erotic is big.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm.
I'm curious, you mentioned Jai, you mentioned the Erotic Blueprints, and being a coach there. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience with that. Like,
Yeah.
what are you discovering as you work with people around that?
Yeah. Well, I should start, I guess, by like at least briefly explaining like what the heck are the erotic blueprints. Yeah.
Please.
It's a framework for understanding, expressing, and exploring arousal. So it came about through Jaya's work as a somatic sexologist. That is a person who works with people's bodies. And over a couple of decades of doing that work, she started to notice patterns in people for how arousal shows up. So she paid closer attention to it and collected data and ended up with like, there are 5 general categories that one can use to describe how human beings get turned on. And those 5 are energetic, sensual, sexual, kinky, and shapeshifter. So each of those categories, like there's characteristics for how arousal shows up. There are aspects of like what shuts arousal down, what makes arousal hard to access. We think of them as like superpowers of the blueprints and shadows of the blueprints. And by learning about this stuff, it really like I see in people as light bulbs go on all the time. Oh my God. Now I understand why it doesn't work for me to have sex when my bedroom is a mess. Because I'm a sensual person. And part of the pleasure that I get, part of what allows turn on to arise in me is when I look at my surroundings and I find them pleasing and I find them orderly, right? It makes me be able to access turn on more easily. So people have those kinds of light bulbs turn on. People have the light bulb turn on of like, oh, my whole life I've been behaving sexually in a way that I thought I was supposed to. And that's always been hard for me. Oh, it turns out that that's not my blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're a man, socialize as a man, identify as a man, and you grew up in the culture here, United States of America, you have been taught to be in the sexual blueprint. Sex is about orgasm. Sex is about body parts. Sex is about nudity. Sex is like, get down to business. Let's just do it. But the fact of being a man does not make you sexual blueprint.
Right.
And there are, roughly 25% of men-ish are sexual blueprint. The rest of them are other things. So this light comes on where it's like, oh, now I understand why that has never really worked for me, because I'm sensual or because I'm energetic. And so going at it isn't what turns me on. What turns me on is gazing lovingly into my partner's eyes and feeling the energy exchange and breathing together. That's what turns me on. That's energetic blueprint stuff. So the blueprints turn on light bulbs for people that help them see more clearly who they really are. And what's really fun, what's really magical about the framework is that what it really shows you is where you're at, and it shows you where you can go if you want to. Mm-hmm. They are not boxes for people to climb into and say, like, oh, I'm a sexual and that's who I am. It's like, no, right now, your body most easily has access to arousal through the sexual blueprint. They're changeable, they're expandable. Ultimately, everyone can grow into the shapeshifter blueprint, which is combination. It's like, we like it all. I'm definitely a shapeshifter. Give me all of it.
Yes. I am as well.
So that's the magic of it to me. What has been beautiful for me is like, oh my gosh, it's like a map. It's like a blueprint for like how I can grow into a bigger, broader, a deeper, more realized sexual being.
Yeah, and I really want to underscore what you're saying here about growing into having, being able to experience the different aspects of the different blueprints. Because I think many of the frameworks I see are like, you are this and you're going to stay here. And what I see with clients, with couples, especially if they have different blueprints, that actually looking at like, where is the overlap? Where can we find the, what are the things that are erotic to both of us?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that are erotic to my partner that I can expand on? Because I love watching my partner in pleasure. That's the best.
Yeah, totally.
And I just want to say, it's the sexual blueprint is the cultural blueprint.
Yes.
It's two people, they come together.
They fuck.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some foreplay, but
maybe.
And there are certainly times when that is the thing.
Yes.
And there are times when, I notice, at least for myself and for many of my clients, that, it's easy in the beginning in the new relationship energy.
Yeah.
It's really easy because both parties actually seem to lean a little bit more towards the sexual.
Yeah.
But as you're together longer and as you are, looking for expanding outside of, like, we've done this for a while and it's fun and it's still fun. And I'm wondering what is available.
Yeah, totally. I feel prompted to say something really important about the blueprints, which is they are not hierarchical. Like we were just sort of like naming something about the sexual and, maybe laughing a little bit about how like, yeah, people just get together and they just start fucking. I want to make it really clear that none of them are hierarchical. It's not better or worse to be an energetic versus a sexual. There's nothing wrong or broken or inadequate about any of the blueprints. What's important about them is understanding their strengths and understanding the shadows so that you know where you're operating from. In the sexual blueprint, there are shadows present, which we see in our culture really strongly, right? Which are like so focused on orgasm and getting to that end point that a lot of stuff gets ignored or missed along the way. So obsessed, so keen on bodies and parts that other things are not accessible. A disinterest in expanding into other blueprints because I'm a sexual and that's all I need and that's all I want. Like we would call those shadow aspects that a person can choose to take a look at. I just don't want anyone to get the idea that, some blueprints are better than others because they're not.
No, not at all. They all have their superpowers, and as you said, all have their shadows. And again, at least from my point of view, certainly the more that we can, the more access we have to these different superpowers, the more the more possibility we have with different people, which is
yes. If that's how you roll, that's absolutely like an awesome thing. That is one of the superpowers of being a shapeshifter, is that we can play kind of with just about anything, with just about anybody. There's something in it for us because we like so many things. It's a wonderful and amazing superpower of the shapeshifter, but it comes with shadow too, because sometimes shapeshifters are so adept and so used to joining a partner in what they like that a shapeshifter misses out on the things that they need.
Yeah. I mean, I identify as a shapeshifter, and I would say that there is a time where I had to like really settle down and be like, okay, what is actually mine and my desire? And can I have it without that other person there? Like I was so in tuned, and there's so much get off on being there and, all the good stuff. And what I found for myself was when I was able to come back, when I was able to actually be like, well, what is my desire? In and of itself, by itself, I found a whole, a whole different level of self-connection, self-relationship, which then again, I could take out and play with more. And, so yeah, definitely looking at the shadows gives us more access to having more play with other people and more joy and more connection.
Yeah.
And it's not a stagnant, sex in general, the eroticism in general is not a static experience. I mean, life in general is not static. And so one of the things that I really appreciate about what we're talking about here is having that mindset of what is available here. What is, if I allow it, what can be here. So
yeah, you're really like sort of laying out what lies at the core of my work, which is helping people come home to like, what is it that I want? Who am I as an erotic being? How do I understand that? How do I communicate that? How do I call that in with partners? How do I know that I can handle it myself? How do I be my own best lover so that I know like I can actually largely meet my own needs if I need to, and that everything else is bonus. Like those kinds of things are the inquiries that I like to invite people into, which always brings up challenges because we are so conditioned throughout our entire lives of like the role we're supposed to play, the things we're supposed to feel, what we're supposed to like, what we're supposed to not like. And until one has gone inside and taken a good long look at like, who am I as an erotic being? You might be, this is the pain point for people is like, well, my sex life is okay, or my sex life is kind of crappy. I don't really know why. I want to help people relieve that stuff. It's like, well, it's because your authentic erotic being isn't available. Yeah.
So what is an authentic erotic being?
Well, I mean, what's the simple other words to use? What do I understand? What can I say is my truth about my eroticism?
Mm-hmm.
What is my turn on? What are my interests? What are the things that deeply satisfy me
Mm-hmm.
erotically?
Mm-hmm.
And that authenticity is, for most of us, unless we've done work around it, it's covered up by rules and obligations and, the way we're told we're supposed to be. So what is my authentic erotic being? It's the one that appears when all of this stuff that's put upon me has been cleared away. It's like, let's clear away all that stuff and get me down to where I'm like, metaphorically naked, right? I'm free of all of these things. Now what's there? Who do I want to be with? How do I like to feel? How many people do I want to be with? What is love to me? It's a deep inquiry into one's own life experience and to examining like, what is it that I even want? And I think for so many of that question is not something that anyone ever asked me or prompted me to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come to that kind of myself. And I wish that our culture would do that way early, right? And start like really checking in with even young children in age appropriate ways to examine like, who are you? What feels good to you? What about your body and how you interact with it? And inviting people into this process of self-discovery instead of downloading a bunch of stuff onto them so that maybe later in life they decide to do the exploration.
Right. And so what do you feel like are some of the boxes that culture sticks us into or the limitations? What are some of those?
Oh man, there's so many. The big ones for me, like everyone's, boxes are going to be, more impactful than others. But for me, gender is a gigantic one. The role that I'm expected to fill based on my genitals, or as some people insist today, based on my chromosomes. By the way, all that stuff is off base, right? Gender is complex. Gender is not about sexuality. We're not going to do a big gender thing here, but it's a box that we're told to be in. And in our culture, there are two boxes. And that is just on the face of it so profoundly limiting that it makes me angry. Like I'm actually pissed about it because I spent my whole life believing that I needed to be in this box of being a man. And I struggled with it. I was angry with my father for not showing me. I was angry with culture for not showing me. I struggled with like, why is it that when I go into a store or whatever and people call me sir, I hate it. I've always hated it. And I hate it to this day. And it's because nobody ever told me that those boxes were manufactured. Those boxes are like false things that aren't even real. And it's only when I busted out of that box and was like, wait a minute, I'm going to be a whole human being. Now what's that look like? It's like the shades went up, life got bright, joy got bigger, all because I moved out of that box. So that's one of them. Gender is a huge one. Another one is your expected sexual role. Like I earlier alluded to, like how strongly men in our culture are connected to and taught that they are sexual blueprint. Well, similarly for women, I would say predominantly women are going to most readily assume themselves to be sensual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these are boxes that we are taught to put in. And for a man who spends their life thinking they are the sexual blueprint and behaving in that manner, when they're actually energetic, it's sad for them. It's really disappointing. They think they're broken. It's like, what's wrong with me? Like I'm supposed to like this stuff, but it just doesn't work for me. My relationships come to an end. I mean, okay, sorry. I know I'm going on.
I just wanted to pause and just, have people understand the difference between a sexual blueprint and an energetic blueprint.
Oh yeah, great. Sure. I use that example a lot just because it's so stark in our culture. Right. So the sexual blueprint again is like what we think of as sex in our culture. Right. If you bring up a porn video or something, there's a 98.7% chance it's going to be sexual blueprint. It's like people get naked, people have sex, people like parts, people like orgasms. It's kind of about getting the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun, That's sort of what the energetic blueprint is. A person who is really turned on by slowness, by spaciousness, by contact. And by contact, I mean like, one version of it is eye contact. Like, what is it like for you to just focus your eyes on another person's eyes?
Mm-hmm.
An energetic loves that. But for a lot of people, it's like, oh my God, I can't look at a person for more than 2 seconds before I have to look away.
Mm-hmm.
So the energetic blueprint thrives on that. I describe like my experience of the energetic blueprint is an absolute just love of the almostness of things. It's like almost kissing is better than kissing. Almost penetrating is better than penetrating. Well, not all the time, but it's really good, right? Almost touching, right? The almostness of things is what really lights up the energetic blueprint. And it's a fucking powerful blueprint. It's so cool. You can have incredible connective sex with a person without even touching them, like from across the room. It's really, really fun to play in. So those blueprints are profoundly different. And if you are a man in this culture, no one teaches you anything about the energetic blueprint. Everything I just said was probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mm-hmm. No one knows anything about it. And you're just stuck with this, like, well, I'm supposed to take off my clothes and get hard and do these foreplay things and then have sex. And if that's not satisfying to you, if that doesn't leave you fulfilled, then probably like sexual blueprint is not your main blueprint. And maybe the energetic is. So that box, what blueprint are you? Even though we don't use those terms in our culture, we're still like placed in this. Women are sensual, men are sexual, weirdos are kinky. Boxes we get stuck in.
I'm going to invite you to just talk a little bit about the kinky blueprint. We've named pretty much all the other ones.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So in the sort of in the context of the blueprint framework, the way that we think about kinky really comes down to what is taboo.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't specifically about anything. It isn't specifically BDSM. It isn't specifically flogging or any of these things that I think culture associates with, oh, that's kinky. I would say it's kinky for you if it's naughty. It's kinky for you if it's taboo. If being flogged is something that you think, oh my God, I don't know that I should be doing this, or I don't think I should like this, that's putting it in the kinky category. So kinky is so fascinating because it can literally be anything. For a person who's raised in a certain way, it may be incredibly kinky to have the lights on during sex. If you got into your body that you're not supposed to do that, it's like, oh, let's turn on the lights. That can be kinky. So it's really about zeroing in on what that taboo is for you, and the turn on in that is playing in the kinky blueprint. So kinky people, like, it's wildly creative. Anything can be kinky. Oh my gosh, like, is there a limit to the kinks? There is not. No matter what you can think of, somebody has that kink. And so they can be really playful and really fun. Thankfully, the kink community has been growing, maturing over the years. You will find many kinky people to be really, really good at safer sex, really, really good at consent, really, really good at communication.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great place to learn those things, is to like get into the kink community. And then the shadow aspects of being kinky are sometimes a person can become so sort of attached to the kink that that's the only way in.
Mm-hmm.
So sex becomes really limited because it's like, well, if I don't get flogged, I don't get turned on. And that can be really limiting. And then maybe the biggest shadow for kinky people is shame, because in our culture, it's not embraced. It's not okay for you to have like interest in all kinds of things. There's only certain things you're supposed to be interested in. And if you're interested in something else, then you're weird. And so kinky people often really struggle with the shame of what it is that turns them on, and feeling like there's something wrong with them and not wanting to share it because they'll be rejected, they'll be made fun of. That's a really burdensome shadow aspect of kinky.
I'm curious, in terms of your practice, do you tend to see more individuals? Do you tend to see more couples? How do you tend to work?
Well, I tend to work with the people that want to work with me. So I see singles and I see couples. I have a desire to see to see triads, quadrads, people in polyamorous relationships, but I don't yet have those people coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's single people and couples is what I see. I am very keenly interested in people that are willing to explore aspects of gender, just because that's such a big thing for me. But my clients are normal people with challenges in their relationship and sex lives that are going to be readily identified by anybody. It's like, oh well, I have I have a real struggle because as a child I was taught, okay, I'm talking about a client right now. So I have this client who was taught as a young child that her body was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like really firmly put in there over and over and over and over again, all throughout her childhood and adolescence, that her body was gross and terrible. And so she deeply internalized that. And it's showing up in her relationship because she can't be present for sex because she's so worried about how her body looks. And so she's spending all of her time trying to position herself in certain ways so that certain things can't be seen or that certain things don't stick out or bulge in a certain way. And so people come to me with that kind of an issue. It's like, oh, well, we're not having sex because of body image issues.
And then how do you work with those?
Well, in that case, yeah, it's funny. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's okay just to mention it, right? There's a particular tool that I think is profoundly useful for body image issues, which is mirror work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really spicy to do, but it's very simply stated. It's like you put a person in front of a mirror and you start to give yourself affirmations. My body is beautiful. Look at this. Look at that. And over time, it just works. It's one of those things that is like, oh my God, that's so dumb. That won't work. I don't want to do that. But if you do it, it absolutely works. Those affirmations are guaranteed to shift things for you.
And it can bring up a lot. Like,
oh yes,
it's crazy how much.
That is what I mean by spicy. It's spicy as fuck.
Okay, good. Thank you for that translation.
Yeah, when I say spicy, I mean stuff that is like, ooh, it gives you the oh my God, it gives you the scares, gives you the shivers, gives you the I don't want to do this. Oh my God. That's what I call spicy.
And it's, for me personally, it's something that, I've had coaches tell me to do and I haven't.
Yeah, totally. And that's like the beauty of coaching. And part of why I love it is like my clients give me permission to go pretty far towards making them do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like, I understand that you don't want to stand in front of a mirror and say these things. I understand that it feels dumb. You're going to do it anyway. And we're going to track your progress. We're going to have you rate how you're doing and how you're feeling. And you're going to see how it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do. Yeah, it's fun, like setting that up. It's like, first of all, it's like, okay, here's some affirmations, fairly straightforward that you do in front of the mirror with your clothes on. Okay. How about trying that with your partner standing next to you? Okay. How about trying that when you're naked and your partner isn't there? Okay. Now how about trying it naked while your partner is there? And just sort of like increasingly increasing the fire underneath of that. But it's wonderfully effective at helping people with self-confidence, body image issues. Really great.
Yeah, I imagine that the more that you do it, the more that there's that ownership of, of who I am and what I am. And I'm imagining that that's part of what works and what you're interested in with the explorations into gender. Would that be accurate? Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I would love to talk about that. Oh my God. Of all the things that have happened to me in my, 50 plus years of life, nothing has been more profoundly joyful and wonderful to me than my own experience of gender expansion. And for me, what that really is a realization that, oh my God, I have the capacity to be a whole and complete human. And to me, trying to adhere to the rules and stay in a lane of gender that is socially constructed. Let's just be super clear about that. I know there's a lot of freaking argument these days about gender and people are doing some very harmful things. gender is socially constructed, period. It is not solely informed by biology. It is a social construct. So trying to make myself stay in the lane of being a man was painful and restrictive. And when I opened up to the idea that's like, well, what's it like to be a whole human being? That is what clicked for me. For some people, it's this lane is wrong for me. I need to go away from the man lane and I need to go into the woman lane. And that lane feels great. I want to be in that lane. That's what we would like generally categorize as like a trans person, is when we go from this to that. I'm in the like, I love the middle. I feel like the way that I thrive, the way that I connect most purely to joy in my life is when I just let myself be. What do I want to wear? Never mind what fucking everybody else says. Mm-hmm. If I put it on my body and it feels good on my body, and if I look in the mirror and I say, oh, I like what I see, that's it. What else do I need? Mm-hmm. And that can be anything. That's not to say that I have completely freed myself to do whatever I want. I still have fear and I still have concern. I'm aware that I could wear certain things in public that might be genuinely unsafe. I might actually like get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So it is complex, but the point that I want to convey is that going inside and checking out who I am, asking the question, like, of all the ways that I've been being and dressing and dancing and talking and making love and expressing myself, which of those ways did I choose for me versus which of those ways were given to me from the outside? My family gave me stuff. My church gave me stuff. Culture gives me stuff. The joy comes from like clearing those things out of the way so that I can say, well, what do I choose? And when I finally am able to let myself move my body in the way that my body wants to move, joy. And it just so happens that the way I really love to move my body doesn't probably look to most people like how a man is supposed to move their body. But which do you want? To adhere to the rules that people laid out for you, or to be in joy? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to gender stuff, for me, that's what it's about. It's about joy. It's about liberation. It's not about finding a new box to live in. It's about saying like, God, who the hell am I? Let me be free to express myself. And when I do that, I'm full of joy. My relationships get better. There's more love in my life. I'm having more fun. Creativity flows more easily. Everything just gets better.
And where is your attention these days? Like, what are you passionate about these days?
I'm super passionate about gender, right? This is like wildly exciting for me. And I love my own journey. And I'm so keen on like supporting other people in theirs. I also have just recently really become interested in this concept. I don't know, it's a difficult one, but like if I say the words platonic eroticism, like they sound maybe like they clash and you can't have one without the other. But I've discovered that it is possible for the humans that have like the interest and done the work to be able to have these really amazing friendships that also include the erotic. Mm-hmm. And I feel really passionate right now about calling that really into my life so that I have a larger pool of people that it's like, yeah, we are friends. We are not in romantic attached relationships, but the erotic is available. And there is a way in the Blueprint community culture, like we do a thing called table time. And you just put a person on a massage table and you bring out all the sex toys and get all the kitchen utensils and all the things that are fun to play with. By the way, tip, right? Your kitchen is full of sex toys. And a person gets on the table and then we say, what do you want? How do you want to feel? How do you like to be touched? How many people do you want to do that with? Right? And we give that person what they want and let them be in erotic space. And they can be as erotic as they want. There can be orgasms or not. It's just like giving people touch that feeds them. And as human beings, I think we really, really need that. Mm-hmm. And our culture does fuck all to support that for us.
Right. It basically says don't. And also, there's should you choose the monogamous path, there is, one person in your
Right.
life that you can receive erotic attention from, touch from, affirmations from. All of that stuff is there's only one person that's possible from. And I love what you're talking about, which is this idea that we can have these kinds of interactions
Mm-hmm.
with each other, and um, it can be done in a loving, consensual
Yes.
way, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we are ever going to do it again, or
Right.
maybe we get to do it every Tuesday between 2 and 6,
Yes.
So I love what you're bringing, this concept. I was recently looking at some of the relationships in my life, and, there are definitely people that I've had for a long time where it's like, this is the person I go to, parties with or whatnot. We may or
Yeah.
may not ever actually have what looks like regular sex,
Mm-hmm.
but like we're there to support each other in that exploration.
Mm-hmm.
We're there to adventure, and it's such a, like, there's something so magical about that experience. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh.
and
And
to
go ahead.
allow it to be exactly what it is without putting it into, our seems to be putting things into boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the fact that there don't need to be
There
boxes.
don't need to be boxes. We don't have to do that. And what we're describing of like allowing like a much broader availability of erotic touch and satisfaction does not, in fact, need to threaten for or primary or anchor relationships, lifelong partnerships. There isn't an inherent danger there. There's a fear which is put on by a culture that says monogamy is the only and best way to do things.
Mhm.
The reality is that all this stuff is available and you can still have your beautiful, like deeply connected and attached partnership if that's how you roll. The other thing that came up when we were talking was another aspect of using the erotic blueprints to like get into one's sexuality is that it changes the definition of sex. Like you talked about being with a person, and it's like, we might do things, but, most people wouldn't necessarily recognize that as us having sex. Well, what is sex? And I
Mhm.
think plugging into the blueprints starts to open up the, like draw open the blinds a little bit and allow that sex is actually a lot of things. It is a gigantic array of things. There is no actual end to it. It's really about what the people involved are feeling. If we feel erotic energy, if we feel orgasmic pleasure, whether or not we have specific types of orgasm or not, that's sex. There's a wonderful book that I recommend for everybody. Probably all your listeners have already read it, but The Ethical Slut is a super great book to read.
Mhm.
And I love in there that they introduced to me the idea of like, what is sex? Uh, it's any way that you engage with life force energy, which means that we're having sex right now. It's not necessarily erotic sex in the sense that everybody thinks of it, but you and I in this conversation are engaging with life force energy. Every time I do, like we're always engaging with it. So that's an extremely expansive view of what sex is. But I just love for people to start to see like, oh, wow, I thought sex was this narrow thing where we do, we have a menu of activities and we do some of them and that's sex. It's like, well, can we broaden things out a little bit?
Mhm.
And let sex be a much broader category of things.
Oh, good. So, speaking of which, I know that you have a really generous gift of your time and your energy, so which will allow people the potential experience of understanding a little bit more about themselves. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Basically, what I understand is this. For lots and lots of people, the idea that you would start working with a sex coach is scary, preposterous. terrifying, incomprehensible. It requires a lot of vulnerability to sit down and talk with somebody about sex. For many of us, even talking about sex with our partners is a rarity. So in order for people to work with me, we have to establish rapport. We have to establish trust. I have to be able to demonstrate safety. And so what I want to offer to people who are listening and thinking like, oh my God, this is really fascinating, is just we get on the phone and it's free. I will charge you $0 and we can talk for as little time as you want. If you're full after 5 minutes, you can just politely say, oh my God, I'm full, and I will happily tell you goodbye. Or I will stay on the phone with you for as long as 90 minutes. And the purpose of that conversation is exactly that. It's like, sit down with somebody who has done a lot of work around sex. I'm extremely comfortable talking about sex. Everything, right? What's it like to sit down with me and talk about sex, talk about your experience with sex, but to do it on your terms, to do it in a way where I am really focused on doing the best I can to help you feel comfortable, to help you feel safe, to never push you to get into topics or say things that you don't want to do. I'm not here for shock value, so that we can build a little trust. And that is the only way that I know how to bring people in to even want to do this work. So I would love to offer that, an up to 90-minute call just to sit down and talk with me about what's going on. There's no agenda. There's no salesy aspect of this. I'm not reserving time on that call in order to pitch you with something. We're just talking.
I love that. That's really such a generous gift of time and energy, and to have the experience of somebody holding space for you, someone who does it as well as you do. So there will be a link in the show notes for folks who are going to take Ryan up on that offer, which I highly suggest.
Thank you.
So in a minute, I'm going to invite you, if there's one thing that you want people to get out of our time together, what might that be? And while you're pondering that, I'm just going to take a moment and let people know how they can support the Better Sex podcast. And so, sex is a really complex question for many people. And so thinking about it, talking about it isn't always comfortable. And so I want to really invite you to use this forum, the Better Sex podcast, as a place to ask questions. And so I invite you to go ahead and send us some questions. You can do that at deborahcat@gmail.com, and that will be in the show notes, because sexual, having that place and that person to ask those questions is super important. So on that note, I'm going to come back to Ryan and say, what would you say you would like people to get out of our time together?
I really hope that what y'all get from this is some inspiration or some motivation to do a little bit of internal questioning about, like, who am I as a sexual being? What does that mean? To start asking yourself the question, like, what do I really want? How is that different from what I've got? And what I really want to drive home is that my experience tells me that if you are willing to engage with your sexuality, your life is going to get better. That's like pretty much guaranteed. I don't know how you could engage in a healthful way with your sexual journey and not have your whole life get better.
Love that. So engaging in your sexual energy is going to change your life in exciting and adventurous ways. So where is the best place for people to find you?
Well, I do have a website, and it's humansex.com. You just need to replace the A in human with X. So it's HUMXNSX.com is where you can find my website. And I also have, social media, and it's all the same. It's human sex. HUMXNSX.
Got it. And again, those things will be posted in the show notes. Ryan, I am so delighted to have had this conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining me, for sharing about the blueprints and your adventures and your story. And I love the ideas that we've been playing with around bringing the eroticism into everyday life, expanding the boxes around both sex and gender. And so I just, if for those of you listening, if there's somebody that you think, would benefit from this conversation, please send it out, let them know about this, and, follow Ryan on all of the socials, take him up on his offer of a conversation. And if you want to bring more love and sex and safety, please like, subscribe, and comment wherever you get your podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And again, thank you so much, Ryan.
You are so welcome. It was my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. People, the only way for us to help is if people know about us. So please do share Deborah's podcast. There's lots and lots and lots. What are you at, like 69, 70 episodes now of really, really great stuff about sex. So please share. And Deborah, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed being here. It's really, really fun to talk about this stuff with you.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. I'm delighted. Yeah. I am so delighted. All right, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.